So first question for you is, what is the biggest misconception that you see in the fitness industry right now?
Probably the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the carnivore diet. I think that it has a good premise, and I understand, but at the same time, the average person who does the carnivore diet just looks and says like, okay, this diet is basically just eat meat and eggs, and that's pretty much it. And a person that does that will be deficient in so many vitamins, vitamin C, B vitamins. If you start to add in things like liver, then that's going to help with B vitamins. They're also going to be deficient in fiber. So the people that are preaching this diet are not saying like, hey, here's the exact way that you need to do the carnivore diet. You need to eat liver every day. And even if you do eat liver every day, I just think that there's way too many studies that back what fiber does in your body and for your health, for a diet to just completely neglect it. And I think that people just like eating steak every day. So they're like, oh, this is a diet that I can get behind. And this guy's jacked. So I guess if I want to look like him, then I'm just going to eat steaks and eggs every day. And then my older brother actually did the carnivore diet. And I'm not saying that this is the sole reason that he got kidney stones, but the carnivore diet is really, really high in solutes and minerals. And he did it for like 8 or 12 weeks and got kidney stones. So that's like pretty much the only variable that changed in his life. There's some of my clients who have kind of practiced the carnivore diet, and then they get their blood tested and their cholesterol is through the roof. And that's not really an issue when you're 26, 27 years old. But if you did that for 20 years, you would definitely be at very much so an increased risk of having a heart attack. So I think a meat-based diet with fruits and vegetables, obviously buy organic fruits and vegetables, but probably the sweet spot is a meat-based diet with fruits and vegetables. So you're still getting fiber intake, and then you're still not deficient in vitamins and minerals.
I have a follow-up question to that then. So why, maybe from experience or just, I guess, hypothesizing, why do you think so many people prescribe to the carnivore diet and like treat it as a religion? I see a lot of, especially on Twitter, a lot of people will prescribe to a diet, it'll change their life, and it'll become their new ideology. Like it's paradigm shifting. It changed. They lost all this weight. Their biomarkers are great, and like so for some people it works really, really well. Like, why do you think it works well for some people? And I guess what's the problem with prescribing to a diet like that if it does work for you in the first place?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the extreme of anything is never the right answer. You could go read hundreds of studies that tell you that you shouldn't eat meat at all, written by PhDs, credible peer-reviewed sources. You could also go read hundreds of studies on why you should eat a meat-based diet, and which of those people that have a peer-reviewed experiment and a PhD are right. So I think that never prescribing to one extreme is the answer. Like a well-balanced diet should just always be the answer, but a well-balanced diet and eating fiber is not sexy, and there is not a brand associated with that sort of diet. There's no strong brand around a well-balanced diet, and there's a really strong brand around the carnivore diet, where a lot of the people who do the carnivore diet, they preach it. They're very extreme about their fitness and excluding foods on a daily basis. They only eat this, they work out twice a day. And so those people look great. I honestly haven't seen too many people who share their biomarkers. I actually saw a video of this gal yesterday who was talking about her biomarkers and how they're so good on the carnivore diet, but then she didn't share them, and she's never shared what they actually were. So I would be interested to see the actual blood panel of somebody on the carnivore diet. But I know from one of my clients who did do the carnivore diet And granted, he wasn't eating liver every day. He wasn't doing like a true carnivore diet. It's basically just eating meat and eggs, which is like 90% of people that don't understand nutrition. They just want to eat, meat and eggs and prescribe to the carnivore diet, so they don't do it right. And then those people, I have a firsthand account of looking at a blood test from somebody who did that for multiple weeks on end, and their biomarkers were not good.
Gotcha. Yeah. Good response.
I want to ask you. I want to ask you a question around Parachew and the hypothesis behind coming out with that gummy. So I would love to hear your thoughts on paraxanthine as opposed to caffeine. Why it is a better alternative, and the differences that paraxanthine has compared to caffeine in your body.
I like that. Okay. So I guess I'll start with why I created Parachew. So I used to consume, I mean, you and I both used to consume copious amounts of caffeine, like to get through our day, first thing in the morning, 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine just to jumpstart our day of like pre-workout.
Dry scoop.
Was that? Dry scoop. Yeah, I said dry scoop. And I became insanely reliant upon it. And Naval Ravikant was who encouraged me to get off caffeine. He has this big philosophy behind like, we don't need caffeine. We're not meant for it. It's great in small bursts, but like we've become extremely reliant upon it. It has all drug-like effects, and it's like horribly addictive for most people. And to get off of it, it's almost impossible. You go through literal withdrawals. And he's like, I challenge you, go 2 weeks without caffeine, see what it does to your body. And I did it, and I felt horrible, and my body hated it. And so I just didn't like the idea of having a dependency like that. And so I was for years trying to find a alternative to that, and to caffeine, at least, just like something that I wanted to give me energy, but not like make me go crazy. And so anytime I started having caffeine after being cold turkey, no caffeine for like years on end, it would just give me, crazy side effects. I'd feel jittery. I'd feel anxious. My heartbeat would like increase noticeably. I feel like I couldn't calm down. I'd feel really, over energized, to where like I couldn't just like have like a normal conversation. I feel like I'd be going a mile a minute, to where like I'd lose my train of thought, or I'd like go on a tangent, and I'm not getting like actual good conversation at work and things like that. I think it's, good for if you're just trying to do like some crazy hard mind-boggling tasks. But like if I'm trying to have a conversation with someone, I didn't enjoy it that much. I come across paraxanthine off of like an Instagram ad. This is a little capsule. And I started taking it, and I literally, like the week before, I told my friend, I was like, I wish there was something that existed that wasn't caffeine, that I didn't have to rely upon, that was not as extreme as Adderall, but gave me the same effects as caffeine. So like I wanted like an in between, or like some alternative. And I said, I don't know if it's because I said that my algo heard me, but literally when I heard that, I got this advertisement. I bought them, I tried them, and I noticed that it was like, it's like you feel a difference in terms of like your energy, your focus, but it's not as much of a bodily stimulation. It's more mental, in my opinion. You still get the uppity effect that you get from caffeine, like the feel good effects, all that stuff. You still feel focused. Cognitively, most importantly, I feel very like on par and like effective. And I don't have the anxiousness. Like I bite my nails already naturally. I do it way more when I consume caffeine. I think it's just like a coping mechanism of like, I have all this like energy, I need to do something. I don't do it as much with paraxanthine, that I've noticed. And so basically all it does is just extracts, it's a metabolite of caffeine. There's 3 metabolites. It's the metabolite that is primarily responsible for energy. So like feeling more awake, feeling more alert. It blocks your adenosine receptors, and same as caffeine does, but it's already the metabolized form, so it's faster acting. It has been reported to also have same effects as caffeine, in the sense of like mood boosting, appetite suppressing, all that good stuff. But I noticeably am not as anxious, bodily over energized. And so and the reason I chose to do it in gummy form is because everybody likes to consume things in gummy form as opposed to pill form. I looked on the market, there wasn't any on the market already, so that's why I jumped into it. But for the personal experience that I had, as opposed comparative to caffeine, that's why I enjoyed it and started consuming it. And I don't take it every day. I take it on days where I have a lot of busy work and like I want to be on point, or if I have like, something where I want to have a good conversation with someone and be mentally sharp. I compare it to, I don't know if you can relate to this, but fast being in a ketogenic state where you are depleted of carbs makes you mentally sharper. It's similar to that effect where like if you fast, you go into ketosis and you feel like more mentally sharp. It's similar to that in a sense for the most part.
By Parachew.
By Parachute. Yeah, thanks for the advertisement on that one.
Yeah, that's good.
My second question is, what is the biggest problem that, like across the board, that you notice that your clients have?
Would it be, are you asking like the biggest problem that they come to me looking to solve, or like 4 months into coaching, the thing that they struggle with?
I'd say what your current clients consistently struggle with the most, not what like, everybody's, I want to lose fat, I want to put on muscle, whatever, but like what your current clients, no matter how long they've been with you, consistently fall back on as like an obstacle they need to overcome.
I would say schedule. Schedule is the number one. As we only get people have this idea that the older that you get, or people have this idea that, there's going to be some perfect time where life just magically slows down. If you're 25 to 30 looking forward at the next 25 years, you are going to be infinitely more busy than you are right now. If you plan on having kids and you plan on, advancing in your career, you plan on traveling, doing whatever, right? Trying the more people that you form relationships with, the further along that you get in life, the more responsibilities that you have. And so whether it be somebody, obviously this is an excuse that this is an objection that you and I get a lot, which is, no, I'm not going to sign up for fitness coaching right now. Here in a couple months, my life is going to relax and I'm going to have a little bit more time. And you and I both know that never happens. But I would say with my current clients, because fitness and nutrition, once you have the plan and you have the habits down and you are making progress, it's not that complicated. It's not easy, but it is simple. And when it's simple and all you have to do is do it, and what we do for our clients is we lay out the structure that's sustainable for their lives. And obviously that's the prerequisite, is this has to fit in your life and it has to add to your life. It shouldn't take away. But at some point you still dedicate a portion of every week to fitness and to nutrition. And some of my clients will be doing really well for 2 or 3 months. And then, life kind of hits them in the face. They're traveling, they have the holidays, that, their kids are waking up in the middle of the night, their kids are sick. And at that point in time, you've got to be really disciplined. Discipline to follow your schedule, because if you have your workouts and you have time allocated to the activities around working out and prepping meals, then you have to have the discipline to, even when life is crazy and it's really easy to schedule over top of those events, you have to have the discipline to stick to your schedule and do the things that you know are good for you. And it seems like a really simple concept, but it is hard to follow through on year after year after year.
You said it isn't easy, but it is simple. I think that's something that a lot of people miss out on is, well, yeah, it's not going to be a pill that just solves your problems right away, and you're going to have to put in some effort, but it's simple enough if you just get the right structure in place, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that. And
fitness and nutrition is one of the most marketable subjects, which is why that's why there's so many extremes out there. And it's really easy to think that there's one like silver bullet, but the more that you live and the more that you go throughout life, there's no silver bullet that's going to solve your relationship. There's no silver bullet that is going to grow your business significantly, 10x it overnight. There's no silver bullet that's going to, make you look like a Greek god overnight if you are 50 pounds overweight. And that is one thing that I think more people need to know.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I have a client call in 18 minutes. I don't think we're going to go over that, but we can make this the last one.
Okay, sounds good. I would like to hear from you. How has your training philosophy changed over the years, and why has it changed over the years? Because you and I used to murder ourselves in the gym 6 days per week, hour and a half, 5 sets in exercise, drop sets, supersets, whatever. And now you go to the gym 3 days per week. Can you walk me through what that change has been like, how that's been beneficial for you, and, kind of walk me through why that's the case?
Yeah. Yeah. To your point, my original stance on training was very much that of a college meathead of you only get out of it as much as you put into it. You got to push yourself. David Goggins, motivation, like all you're lacking is the proper motivation to do it. And because that's what I personally felt myself, was the only thing limiting me was my motivation of doing it as hard as I can and being extremely consistent. And I would have myself lifting 6 times a week for the most part, getting horrible sleep, lifting 1.5 to 2 hours a day. And when I originally started out, that's what worked for me. And so as a coach, what I would discuss with my clients is what would work for me. And that I quickly learned it was a horrible approach to training. Less is more. You want to do the least amount to elicit the most change, right? I don't want to give them all these crazy workouts that are going to take a super long time, that are super hard to do, that are super novel. They have to learn all these things. Like, it's just complicated, and people want simplicity, to your point earlier. And so whatever, like sometimes it's, again, as you said, it's so easy. It's not easy, but it's so simple. Like, a lot of people overcomplicate their exercise, and even coaches and trainers especially overcomplicate it a lot. It baffles me how little it takes to actually build muscle. And once you have muscle built, retain muscle, keep muscle on, as little as two days a week, 3 days a week. Sometimes even once a week is plenty for some people, depending upon their goals. But anything above like 4 or 5 days a week, and like 1.5 hours in the gym should be your absolute max. Like, unless you're a college kid who has nothing else better to do and you just want to have like immense gains and you're just chasing like everything under the sun in terms of how huge you possibly can get, it's really not worth it. And people don't have the time or the patience or the commitment to do so. So what's changed for me the most is being extremely patient with my clients. My programming has decreased in volume immensely for a lot of my clients. My approach with nutrition is a lot more laid back and lenient and long-term focused. So I'm not as, I'll say, abrupt with my nutrition, just because I know that it takes a long time to fix relationships with food, because it's something that you do every single day. I have an example of a friend of mine who's now one of my clients, who was originally one of my clients a long time ago when I first started out. And I just had him jump in with me, and like, he was overweight, hadn't worked out, hadn't done anything. And I had him just start doing my, 4 or 5 days a week, like hour-and-a-half workouts, and it killed him. He told me, he's like, I'm so burnt out, I can't do this. And I just kept telling him, like, you got to keep going, dude. Just like, it gets better, I promise. Just keep working. And I was expecting him to do what I've been doing for years and years, and it doesn't work like that. And so now we've basically restarted. He's doing like 2 20-minute workouts a week, and that's it for strength training. He goes on walks, and like, that's all it is. And so it's a lot more simple than you make it out to be. It's just communicating to that person over and over again that just stay consistent with it. We're going to take baby steps. Let's make this sustainable. And it's not just a quick fix, and 3 months later you're in the same rut, and you're now in the same spot. You never gotten any results, and you don't believe in trainers because they can get you the results that you want. It's patience, it's consistency, and it's just having a good relationship with health, fitness, and nutrition.
I'd like to ask a follow-up question. So let's say that somebody comes to you and they say, hey, over the course of the next 3 months, I want to have the most insane transformation. I want you to give me the plan that is going to help me progress the fastest. Would you recommend that person go to the gym 5 times per week or 3 times per week?
If you have the luxury to work out more with proper programming, it will give you quicker results, abiding a lot of things like sleep and proper nutrition and things like that. If you focus in the right way and you spread it out properly and you're not overtraining yourself, it's very easy to overtrain yourself and doing 5 days a week. But I think you can get more out of 5 days a week than 3 days a week in terms of volume, muscle body splits, things like that. I always use the analogy of how long would it take you to learn a Beethoven song on a piano? Most people will say like, oh, a couple months, whatever. I said, okay, I put a gun to your head and I say that you have a week and a half with a instructor next to you to learn Beethoven. You're probably going to spend it like hours on end every single day focusing on just that goal, and you're going to accomplish it within a week, no problem. So it's your prioritization of the things that you're trying to accomplish on a certain timeline. And so if you have 3 months to dedicate yourself, this is why bodybuilding is a thing, is because you put everything on the wayside. You're not drinking, you're eating super, super, super perfect. You're, walking every single day for multiple hours. You're exercising. If you have that luxury and that's your actual goal, it's feasible. But I tell everybody who's like, can you help me lose 30 pounds in 2 months? I'm like, probably not, because I don't think that's going to be I don't think you're gonna be able to dedicate yourself to that. I always use the joke of, I'll cut off your leg and there's 30 pounds right there. Ha ha. But like, that's not feasible. And it's, you need to be very honest with what is likely going to happen. Under promise, over deliver is my philosophy. And yes, to answer your question, 5 days a week would be my approach. If I had somebody that I know would do everything that I said, put it as their number one priority, and I'd probably do a lot more on top of that in terms of food tracking, activity, walking, and sleep focus. So yeah, you would get better results in that case, but that's not likely. And so for the average person, 3 days a week would probably be the programming that I would give them if I realize that they have a life to live outside of fitness and exercise.
For sure. Couldn't agree more.
Cool. That's a good question.
Yeah. That last answer, you were speaking very concisely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've
kind of been in a rhythm.
Yeah. I think it's just practice. I mean, the more that you do this, like the more podcasts I listen to, you can tell by how many podcasts somebody has done, by how they formulate their thoughts, how they deliver messages, words that they've used, studies that they reference, examples, all that stuff. It just becomes kind of more second nature.
100% agree. Yeah. The biggest thing that I've been focused on when I'm talking is not saying the word like, and it's really hard. I say it a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people that had that same issue. My goal is to eliminate slow down a little bit, make things more concise, and remove filler words. Not use arbitrary, conglomerate words that could be used to describe whatever, like being very succinct and descriptive on exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Like and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kinda, for the most part, like just.
Yeah, I think, I feel.
Yeah.
Kind of like, that's a really easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.